Welcome to the Prospect Warehouse podcast. This is your host, Tim Kanak. You can find me on X at Fantasy Aceball. And with us today to talk about some outfield prospects, we have the one, the only Chris Blessing. You can find him on the X machine at C_Blessing. You can find him at the Eyes Have It podcast. That's going to get started up again soon because we're finally going to be able to get some eyes on some guys. And you can also find him over at Baseball HQ. Anything else, Chris? Yeah, you do so much stuff. It seems
Oh,
sometimes
I
it's
have
hard to keep up with you.
I have this. This is Lindy. It's upside down for y'all, but Lindy Sports Baseball. The last thing on here is the top 60 prospects, the Phenoms list. I contribute to that. That just came out. It won't have Acuna on the cover if unless you're in the Atlanta area. It could be whoever else is on the cover. I don't know who the covers are in Florida. I'm sure it's a Ray and a Marlin, so it's probably not a very Caminero and uh, I
Ryan
don't know,
Weatherspoons.
Alcantara maybe. I don't know what the Miami guy would be, but yeah. So that just got on newsstands. Today. It was the first day I saw it, so I picked one up to give to a friend. So
That's awesome. I'm gonna look. I'm gonna look actively to see if I can find out who the Marlins guy is.
yeah, yeah, just it was at my Kroger. I found them at Publix too. So like Kroger, Publix. I know Publix is down there, so it's a good chance that you'll find it.
Yeah, nice. I go to Publix all the time, so I will be looking.
Yep.
So today we're gonna be talking about outfield prospects, and what I did with Ponce and with Owen is we only talked about like the top 10 or 15, but outfield is so deep that like the top 10 or 15 is like top 20 guy. It's like top 20, 30
Yeah.
guys, and it's like, oh, okay. So I wanted to get a little deeper. So we're gonna go a little thinner, and we're gonna go top 30 here on this podcast. And what we're doing for 21 through 30 is we each picked kind of like one guy. You're gonna surprise me, so I don't even know who your guy is.
Yeah.
But we're gonna each pick one guy in between the 21 to 30 range, and then we're gonna talk lightly on the 11 through 20 guys, and then we're gonna spend more time on 1 through 10. So top 30, my number 30 outfield prospect is Chris Rodriguez, teenager with the Detroit Tigers. 29 is Ike Irish with the Orioles, recent draftee. 28 is Joseph Sullivan with the Astros. Terrible, like last 100 plate appearances last year, but power speed combo is pretty fun there. Duke could walk. Number 26 is Owen Casey, now with the Marlins. My little cheat sheet here, I still have Cubs on here, so sorry about that, Chris. Throwing you all, trying to throw you a curveball right off the bat here. 26, we got Ethan Conrad. He actually is with the Cubs. Recent draftee out of Wake Forest. And just stop me when we get to your guy, because I still don't know who it is. 25 is Juniker Caceres with the Cleveland Guardians. So he's going to be probably A ball most of the year, I would assume. Maybe he gets to high A. We'll see. Devin Taylor at 24th Athletics is the guy that I want to talk about. And that's because I feel like he's pretty underrated. Like I've been doing, I don't know, I think I've done 3 or 4 different FYPD drafts at this point in the season or the off season or whatever preseason, whatever you call this time of the year. But Devin Taylor, I have him in, I've got him in like all of them, Chris, and I feel like he's a little bit underrated. He's so good at Indiana. I know it's not SEC or anything like that, and it's metal bats, but the dude was a complete stud through 3 years at Indiana. Like he hit 374 his last year, 18 bombs, 20 bombs as a sophomore, 16 as a freshman, and a little bit of speed there too, but great plate
Hmm.
skills. I mean, like he had a 19% walk rate, only an 11% K rate at Indiana as a junior, and he was mashing taters. He did play 28 games after the draft and had 6 bombs in 28 games. So yeah, it's A ball, but he was hitting for some pretty good power in the small sample size of the minor
Yeah.
leagues that we have. So I think he's pretty underrated, and I think that it's worth talking about him a little bit because it's just I feel like not enough on him. So I like him a
Well,
lot. Like I give him a
yeah.
50 grade on the hit, 60, 55, 60 on the power. What do you think about him?
Our internal discussions at Baseball HQ really it got us thinking about if we were undervaluing athletics prospects. Of course, the big guy there is the one that they acquired last year, Leo DeVries, shortstop prospect. Like we talked over whether we were undervaluing Henry Bolte, and then the other guy that we felt like might have been undervalued was Devin Taylor. Again, there's a lot of raw skills there. What translates from AAA to, or from AAA, from the Big Ten conference to the pros, you never really quite know. It's not the best hitting environment, not the best quality pitching in that conference, but I mean, he hit at Stockton, and uh, I, I I'm curious to see whether the plate discipline and whether this newfound power kind of carries over once he gets to the Double A. Once he gets over that step, if it does, this guy's very underrated. I mean, that's what it comes down to. But raw skills are there, and we thought that he might have been over underrated as a group after we came out with our top 100.
Yeah, awesome. Glad to hear you're on the same page about him with me. And like the thing is, like if you look at the baseline stats, like he had a 28% K rate in A ball, but it's a smaller sample size, and he was never really striking out very much in college, and he only had an 11.5% swing strike rate.
Mhm.
So like that kind of portends to a lower K rate than what we saw here. So I think once we get a larger sample size of him, he's a really good player, and I think that he'll probably, as a college guy, climb pretty fast. So Oakland generally has like their hitters. I feel like a lot of their top hitters are all like really young. They're all like DSL
Mhm.
guys, or they're all like like Montero's just like going to be coming right off the DSL. You got Colome, so you got all these guys that are like really young. DeVries, I mean, even DeVries is really young. So it's like Taylor
Mhm.
might be a quick mover in the org because he is a little bit older and because he's not a corner guy. Like he's not a first baseman. Like I feel like all their other prospects were like, okay, first base, catcher,
Mhm.
DH. So it's like
Or
he
have
can,
serious contact issues like Bolte. Like,
yeah,
you've got things that, I mean, that's always been a problem with the athletics is, if it was a tools out guy, they couldn't hit. If it was a guy that got to contact, there was no power there. Where they were successful in the last like 10 years has actually been with like college kids that were a little bit undervalued. And, hey, this is another college kid that was undervalued. You're supposed to get your first round pick right. It's getting those other picks right that are make and break the organization. So, and also your international signings. If you sign somebody for $3.2 million, you better be somebody. But one of the biggest signings busts that they've had is Robert Pusin, and like, I mean, he's pitching somewhere at this point, but he was shortstop pre-pandemic, and I mean, I just think that the Athletics have maybe turned a corner, but I am still not really sold on the fact that it's a huge thing. Like the Tigers, for instance, have had a huge metamorphosis in the last few years of development.
yeah.
Pirates too.
Yeah, yeah, Pirates definitely. I'll tell you, I like Wei Enlin a lot on the pitching side. 23 is Emmanuel Rodriguez with the Twins. 22, Bo Davidson with the Giants, who I think is also kind of underrated. And that's the other guy I almost picked besides Taylor. And
Hmm.
then I like to go with some underdogs here. And then 21, I've got Theo Gillen with the Rays.
All right. Well, we'll go with Theo Gillen. I guess I missed when you said Chris Rodriguez. So, who I really like, and is somebody that we internally talked a lot about, a kid that I scouted via YouTube, because you can do that with the Dominican Summer Leagues. So I had Rays coverage this year, like every year at Baseball HQ. And Gillen wasn't a player that I got to see in person. He's a guy that I really kind of I don't know, spent a lot of time with, because he's one of in that organization. He's the most interesting hitting prospect. I know that they've gotten DeBron in that organization, and yeah, you know, Carson Williams, he can't hit, so like. I mean, he's a good major league. He'll be a good major league player, like, or a solid one, but he can't hit. So like Gillen's really was the most interesting guy when I was working this organization. I think what I liked the most about him was his knack for hard contact when I was evaluating him. I watched maybe 3 or 4, Charleston games and then kinda looked at some internal data as well. Uh, the thing is he's yet to really build stamina. Uh, he's been injured a little bit as well. Um, the over the fence power is a little bit of a question mark. I'm not too concerned about that with an A ball player. I think we make too much of a deal about A ball players and their launch angles. I really just want them to hit the ball hard consistently. I feel like, especially when they're young, coming out of high school, like Gillen did. Um, Again, the Rays tend to do really well with this type of player. Another issue that I've kind of seen with the Rays is a lot of their left-handed hitters come up and they're terrible against lefties, so they end up being platoon guys. So I'm a little cautious about really going all in with Gillen based on that history. Uh, but for instance, I like him a lot better than everybody else on your list, like on your, the 21 to 30. Like, I don't think it was a, a stretch. Like Emmanuel Rodriguez is always hurt. Um, I am just not sold on Bo Davidson yet. Ethan Conrad's been hurt. Uh, he fell for a reason. I mean, that's another thing. Like he fell in the draft for a reason. Joseph Sullivan might not hit. I mean, you've got things to say about all these other guys. Chris Rodriguez is super young. Um, I think that maybe Ike Irish is the only one that I could kind of pencil in a regular role and feel pretty confident about. But is it going to be exceptional? Probably not. Um, so this is your best bet at getting a return on investment, stuffing categories, and potentially getting to that solid to all-star caliber fantasy player where Devin Taylor probably will be happy if he's a solid fantasy uh, contributor. We'll
Yeah,
be happy if Ike Irish is a solid uh, contributor. Theo and Chris Rodriguez are the two guys that are the I think the cream of the crop in this grouping.
yeah. The interesting thing for Gillen is against lefties, he had a 79% contact rate. So his contact rate was actually better against lefties than righties last year. And it's just interesting because the Rays are like the type of organization that will naturally just platoon everybody when they
Yeah.
can. So it's like, will they be able to fight that instinct to like force him into a platoon just because they're like, oh, but he's a lefty, and then like, I just hope they
We
don't
we
try to
also we
basically
also
force it.
we also don't know how much he changes his approach to get to those contact numbers. And
Yeah,
like
well, he
that
had
that's one of those things.
his slug was way down. Like
Yeah.
his slug was 413 against righties and dropped down to 296 against lefties.
Uh,
So maybe he was like not getting A swings off against lefties
yeah.
and just trying to put the ball in play. But I mean, 79% contact for a lefty against a lefty.
Yeah.
That's not like it's
Early
not like Xavier Isaac. It's elite. It's
early
usable.
early contact Ivan I early minor career Evan Carter, not Ivan Carter, Evan Carter. It was like a slap hitter against left-handed uh pitching. And then tried to refine his approach. He still really can't hit lefties. So let's see this kid's approach that's the same approach come from the right side to the guys that are on the left side, the left-handed pitchers. Let's see that approach. Um,
Yeah.
and there's a chance, like maybe it is for real. But I'll be
Yeah.
honest, like watching him on video, I'm kind of like, he's cheating.
Yeah, I mean, you see it when you have that drastic of a drop in slug, but then contact rates
Mhm,
go up. It's like, yeah,
mhm.
okay. Um, all right, so next we're gonna get into the top 20. Number 20 is Hector Rodriguez with the Cincinnati Reds. Rodriguez is a guy, Chris, that I was like, yeah, there's a really good chance he could break camp. There's a good chance he could debut, but then the Reds had to go and sign Eugenio Suarez, which then basically if Eugenio is going to be playing like a DH type role with maybe a little third and first mixed in there when they just said, like when Hayes' bat is so bad that they just don't want him in the lineup or whatever. And then Stewart's going to be primarily first base. So that pushes Spencer Steer, I guess, to the outfield. And then you've got Noelvi in right, Steer in left. No room for Hector Rodriguez until you get some injuries. So I guess we have to wait for injuries for Hector Rodriguez. But I like him because I think he's like a well-rounded, above-average player. And I think he's probably like MLB ready. He has good contact rates. He has a pretty solid plate approach. Like, is he going to be a superstar? No, but I think he'd be like a 2010 type guy with good batting averages once he gets playing time, especially in Great American Small Park. So, what do you think about Hector Rodriguez?
I've watched a lot of Rodriguez. He was the home team this year, so I got to see him a bunch with Chattanooga and had done work with him ever since, probably even before he was with the Reds when he was in the Mets organization. He's been a very intriguing guy through the years. I see him as a tweener outfielder at this point, but I've elevated him a lot higher than some of what I consider tweener outfielders. And for the listeners, a tweener outfielder is a guy that doesn't necessarily have a carrying tool for the position that he's in. So like your stereotypical left fielder, because that's what he's going to have to play, is going to hit for power. And Rodriguez does have some power. I think he does a good job of squaring up the ball. I don't know if that translates to the big leagues. There's a lot of top spin heavy contact that comes off of his bat. However, the thing that has me kind of like selling, not buying, Rodriguez, is the fact that he's made drastic changes since he's debuted and has continually gotten better. His plate discipline's continually gotten better. He went from some guy who was just like the first ball in the strike zone he saw, he was going to swing and make contact with, to a guy that's actually working counts, hanging in against lefties while maybe not the best results. He was a guy that bailed out a lot early in his career. So there's a lot to like. I compared him either in an article or on a podcast, I can't remember, to a player that had a very different skill set, but was in that tweener fill when he was in Chattanooga with the Twins, and that was Lamont Wade. Lamont Wade had an it factor with him. It was on base percentage for him. But he didn't have the traditional check marks that you would find from corner outfielders. And then he ended up becoming a first baseman. He didn't have those traditional things, but he did something really, really great. And I think with Rodriguez, what he does really great is in the game is his adjustment to how they're pitching him. That is what might separate him from being just a bench up down guy to a guy that has a chance at holding a regular role. So while that doesn't sound like a glowing fantasy report, from where this guy came from and to see what he looked like when he was at Daytona or Daytona for a season and Dayton for 2 seasons, basically. I mean, it's pretty amazing. Like literally at Daytona, he just that high slugging percentage was him just golfing balls to right field that were just barely getting out of the stadium. Like that's basically what he was doing. He's probably a 15 to 20 home run guy. So he's going to have to do all those other little things really well to get where he needs to be.
Yeah, I mean, he put up really good contact rates throughout, and he's pretty aggressive too. So, whether
Yeah.
you like that or hate that, when you're aggressive, you're probably going to rack up more hits and have a higher batting average. So, for fantasy,
Yeah.
he's going to be a guy he's gonna rack up some hits as long as he gets enough
And
playing.
like and just to say, like player, I'm not comparing him to Lamont Wade, but I'm comparing an it factor that Lamont Wade had over so many tweener prospects that I've watched over the years, where I was able to confidently say, I think this guy's a regular player or on the good side of a platoon. And that's kind of where I'm at with Hector Rodriguez. Yeah, Wade got on the base a heck of a lot more, obviously, but like Rodriguez just being able to adjust during the game to how people are pitching him at that level showed me enough. So we'll see if that carries over.
Yep, number 19. This is a guy that people either love or hate. I feel like there's no middle ground for Spencer Jones. But there's just so much power here. Like I just I guess maybe I'm the middle ground on him. I'm like, I can't just completely forget about him because he could still hit like 30 bombs or whatever, just because he has so much power. But the contact rates are absolutely atrocious. 59.4% contact, 70.3% zone. So it just absolutely horrible contact rates, but he mashes the ball. And when he does make contact, it's generally loud contact, like 17% barrel rate, even with terrible contact, 40%, 40.9% sweet spot rate. So, he is hitting the ball hard when he hits it and he's barreling it. So there are going to be bombs here, 35 bombs, even with those terrible contact numbers, and 29 steals. So, you've got some fun power speed, but like, is he going to hit? Is he going to make enough contact for any of that to matter, Chris? Like, how do you feel about him? Are you completely out on him, completely in on him? Or are you kind of just like, he's going to be terrible for stretches and then he's going to be good for stretches? And it's just going to be one of these fantasy guys where you want to drop him and then like you'll pick him up and then he'll be amazing for 3 weeks and then he's going to be terrible again. Like, because he's probably going to play, right? Like, he's a first rounder. He has pedigree. Like, the Yankees aren't going to like make him a quadruple A guy. I think they're going to give him a chance at some point. I would think, just based on his pedigree. What do you think, Chris?
I'm so tired of talking about Spencer Jones.
He's been
Like
around forever.
I've had the Yankees list for since he's been drafted, even before then. Like, I'm so sick and tired of having to write about him. So sick and tired of talking about him. And I get that way with some good prospects too. It's just not the guys that I'm like, all right, what are we talking about today? Um, Here's the thing. When he's good, he's good for like a week stretch. And then it's like the 4 or 5 weeks afterwards where you're like, "Oh god, this is terrible." So, like, this is a guy that I hope goes on a heater when he gets into the big leagues and fab money just starts flying off the board because they think Spencer Jones is the next Aaron Judge from the left hand side, and then they realize, oh crap, the next 3 4 weeks, and hopefully I'm competing against that guy for a title, and that knocks him out of the title contention because he overpaid for 1 week's of Spencer Jones, which might come back later on, but he's already released him because he kind of sucks. So, like, I don't believe in the contact. I think that he slowed down as well. Stolen bases. I just don't see carrying it over to the big leagues. He's a big dude, super athletic dude, but like it's finally caught up with him. You know what I mean? That's the size is eventually going to catch up to a guy like this. But I mean, his and you're showing video clips right now. His legs are humongous. Like, he's just like a I mean, he's just a power dude, but, like, again, I have a rule, Vanderbilt hitters always avoid, because they don't seem to ever find the contact or the power, whatever they're missing, they don't find, and here's the case, another Vanderbilt, hitter that first round pedigree didn't didn't turn him into a superstar or a regular player, and I just don't see it.
That's interesting. I've never thought about that, the Vanderbilt thing. That's funny though.
Yeah.
uh,
Austin Martin can't hit for power. I can't think of the kid that went to the Dodgers like before the pandemic. Like, they they don't produce hitters out of Vanderbilt anymore. Like, it's
y-
just
yeah, pitching only.
yep. And
That's
even
true.
then, there's question marks about how they're developed, but we won't go there.
Oh no, Kumar. Yeah. Number 18 is AJ Ewing. This guy, pretty interesting. I actually liked him a lot more once I dug into some of the F score stuff. Once we had the F scores program, you see in the F scores, he actually rated out really well. Hit tool 105 on the F scores. So he had an 80% contact, 89% zone.
Mhm.
So really solid hit tool, and then speed combo. Like, you're not going to get to much power with him. 103, 90th is okay. The average EV is actually pretty solid, 90. So, that can't go wrong. But 3 homers. So, like, the power he's going to get to, probably more doubles power than anything. Like, maybe he hits 10 homers or something like that. But I think he's a really good athlete, really good plate approach with good contact skills. So I don't think this is like a Luis Angel Acuna situation, right? Where like it's like, hey, he's just like an athlete and that's it. It's like, no, this guy's actually a good hitter. And that's something I didn't really notice until I ran the F scores on. And I'm like, wow, he's actually a much better hitter than what I thought. Because like sometimes when you see these guys with 3 home runs and 70 steals, like you're just like, I don't know if I want that. But I comped him the comp I threw him on is a better mini version of Jake McCarthy. Like, I think he's better as in like he could get full-time playing time instead of being like a platoony, like part-time player like McCarthy. But how are your feelings on AJ Ewing?
We spent a lot of time on him. Tanner Smith, who used to be an R&D intern with the Tigers, was the writer for us on the Mets organization this year. We talked about him quite a bit, he and I. And we both kind of arrived at the same place where we felt like some places were overvaluing him and some places were undervaluing him. We kind of came to the conclusion looking at the raw data because that's what we get. We get raw data from leagues. When he was with the Tigers, he got they worked on that data. They went and they got rid of some things that might have been misreads and that sort of thing. We thought that he was a good contact hitter, as you pointed out. Our problem was the impact. We thought that this guy is well. Let me rephrase this. Tanner and I disagreed slightly on where we thought he kind of saw him as a good backup. I thought that his defense and his speed would carry him in center field to a regular position. And but Tanner was the one that kind of talked me out of, hey, the hit tool is very surfacey, as opposed to with a lot of guts behind it. And so I just took his R&D background and just was kind of like, all right, now I have a reason to not not like overrank this guy. I felt like our ranking, he made our top 100. I felt like it was fair, but I also felt like he wasn't a top 50 player. And I think I saw him in some places that he was a top 50 player. And I think it's a fine line. If he's able to get to more contact, more harder contact, then I'm not talking about over the fence. I'm talking about harder contact. Then we might have somebody that we're undervaluing at Baseball HQ. But right now, just don't see that next step coming. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So this stat here, this extra base hit plus, is a pretty interesting stat. What we did here is we took his total bases per plate appearance that he was getting, and we divided that across all other players at that level. So so basically 117 means just kind of like a a WRC plus or whatever. So he had 17% more extra base hits per plate appearance than the average other hitter at the levels he was playing at. Because he did have 39 extra base hits. So even though he only had 3 home runs, like he had 10 triples and 26 doubles.
But I
So
also think there's a lot to do with him being he was an advanced hitter for those leagues. Just because
yeah,
and that I think was one of those hard facts that I don't know if data always picks up. That you can be advanced, but you could also at the same time be tapped out. Essentially, there's not
yeah.
really that next growth place for you. I mean, we all agreed that Chandler Simpson was going to hit for extra base hits. I mean, the data and stuff, and then there's of most guys, the data will add up to the eyes, what the eyes see. But for him, that I'm not surprised by that, but I don't know if that's the expectation moving forward for me.
Yeah, that's actually a really good rule of thumb to think about when prospecting. So I think that it's worth reiterating because you can look at, like, for instance, we have our stat there, age adjusted WRC plus. So that's showing like if you take his age and you look at the average other person's age at that level, it's going to add points on for if you're younger for that level. But there's just some guys that just are maxed out on their skill set at a younger age than other guys. So that's a really good thing to keep in mind when you're looking at these stats. So I agree with that,
And
Chris.
you mentioned Luis Angel Acuna. I think he was a guy that was maxed out on his stuff. He's now apparently switch hitting, according to the White Sox general manager. So that's not true. He just misspoke. White Sox doing a White Sox, right?
Yeah. Yep, exactly. 17 is Justin Crawford, which is funny because I think we talked about him last time that you
We
were on
did.
my podcast. So, I don't know, maybe other people didn't hear about it. I guess my opinion overall on him hasn't really changed too much since then. I don't know if yours has. Like, Basically, he's doing the same things that Ewing is, like really good contact rates and steals, good on the bases, going to steal a lot of bags, but even though he does get to pretty solid max EVs, he's not doing it on a consistent basis. You can actually see his 90th percentile if you're watching on YouTube or XVision. His 90th percentile and his average EVs are actually both lower than Ewing's, and his barrel rate is also lower than Ewing's. And I guess probably even more importantly, his launch angle, his average launch angles, and his is lower and his ground ball rate's higher. So those are other things to consider. So anything new on Ewing? Like, is there anything change on your feelings for him? I mean, I guess he's probably gonna break camp. So if you need a proximity guy who can steal bags, like that's not a
Yeah, I
bad
mean
name to look
that's.
after if you're looking for Chandler Simpson 2.0 or something like that. But
I don't want to
you
say
got anything
Chandler
else on
Simpson
Crawford?
2.0, but Chandler Simpson has exceptional skills where Justin Crawford has plus skills. I mean, there's a difference there. Um, there's one guy that's the fastest guy in baseball, or at least one or two of the fastest guys in baseball, and Justin Crawford, who's probably in the 25, 30 range of being fastest. I'm considering all minor leagues. Um, but what's changed with me has been that um, eh, I didn't do this, and I really wanted to. Like, I watched a little bit of him, and then I wanted to like break out his games against the full automated strike zone and his games against the challenge strike zone because I felt like he was a much more patient hitter when it was full ABS as opposed to challenge ABS. And we've seen that. A guy that you mentioned earlier, Emmanuel Rodriguez, is another one of those guys that but I think in Emmanuel Rodriguez's case, he's just afraid to swing because he's going to miss it. Justin Crawford, I think, is just trying to get on base as much as he can because he knows that's his ticket. The dude should. You look at him and you're like, he should hit for some power. Like he has that look. I don't know what his launch angle was this year. I don't have Phillies coverage, and I'm already kind of sold on him. But I also watched some AAA games during the season, and I felt like he wasn't a negative guy anymore. Like he was always a negative guy, negative launch angle. And it seemed like he was making at least strides to be a slider uppercut type guy. So, um, do I like him any more or less? Probably not. But again, I think you hit the nail on the head there. If you're looking for immediate stolen bases and that sort of thing, he's your guy.
Yeah, if you're looking on our YouTube, you could see that I threw up his launch angle distribution. So there's a lot of negatives on here, but it's still I mean his average is 30, so it's going to be more higher. But there's nothing like the fly balls are like almost nil here,
Yeah,
so it's all like between
it's
negative
never
20
going to
to
be fly.
20.
He's not going to be a fly ball guy, but if he can get to some line drives when he's hitting the ball hard as opposed to hitting hard grounders to people, like that's the thing. You almost don't want him to hit it as hard as he has done in the past because it's all on the ground. Like I know that sounds silly, but when you have 70 grade speed, you want to be able to at least use some of it to get to first base.
Yeah, exactly. Next on the list is number 16, Johnny Farmello. So Johnny Farmello is a guy I really like really solid tools. Not the best year this year, but he was also hurt. So it's like I'll give him a little bit of, I guess I'll give him a break for this year because he only had 128 plate appearances. Contact rate dropped all the way down to 64. Didn't steal any bags. So he did hit for more power. So that was interesting. But I like Farmello a decent amount, but he's seems to always be hurt. So I guess my question to you is he just like the next Chase DeLauder where it's like solid player that just can't stay healthy? Or do you think Farmello is going to make it, or do you think he's struggling a bit here? Like the injuries, the thing is, like he was also younger than DeLauder, so he was already behind in development. And it's like if you're always hurt, then you're not going to be able to develop, and you can only miss so much time before you just fall like way behind on the standard development growth chart that you should be following. Like you're not going to have a growth curve if you're not on the field.
So I just checked what I wrote in the Lindy's article that I wrote. think I wrote that in International Falls, Minnesota, during the World Series. Um, and like I had just gotten some reports from scouts from the Arizona Fall League, and I was a little bit higher on him at that point than I am at now, because he did rank in the top 50 on the Lindy's list. And Lindy's is not a fantasy list; it's all of baseball, so that incorporates his ability to play center field, which I think is he has a good chance. But the more I broke down into it and stuff, that contact rate really stuck with me. And by the time that we submitted the fantasy list, which was by the end of December, for Baseball HQ, I had taken him down a few notches. I still had him high because I tend to on fantasy lists not rank pitchers that high or catchers that high. I tend to be a lot lower than some other people in the industry. Um, so he was around the same spot, but he had fallen down a few pegs for me. He's always hurt, and I think it's a different than Chase DeLauder. DeLauder already has these skills developed. Carmelo, we're waiting. Like it, DeLauder, yes, we don't want him to be hurt all the time and all of that stuff, but like every time he's come back, he's just been the same guy that he was before, which was a solid skill set. Carmelo can't does not have that contact tool at this point, and we're talking about low A, high A, that he doesn't have that in. In the last 2 seasons, he's not even gotten to 200 at bats, I don't believe. Like he needs to stay healthy. A broken rib costs him a lot longer than you would have anticipated this year, but there you go.
Yep. Number 15 is Lazaro Montes. So I guess, the big question with Montes is going to be the contact tool. So
Mhm.
it's not quite as bad as Spencer Jones. And I guess you maybe, again, just like we talked about with some of the other younger guys, like you want to give him a little bit of a grain of salt because it's like, okay, he was at double A as a 20-year-old. So there's a little bit of a justification that his contact tool would be a little bit rougher just because he's playing at an advanced level for his age. And he's able to still mash when he's at that advanced level and still hit for power, 14 bombs while he was there. But it's like the contact tool is so bad. But will he, like, do you think the Mariners are going to give him a catch up year? Are they just going to say, hey, hey Laz, why don't you just hang out at double A for the year and try to like get your like it's cool. We know you can hit bombs, it's cool, but like let's try to get your hit tool working a little bit here before we just jump you up to triple A and like keep pushing you, you know, when we probably shouldn't be. Like, what do you
Yeah.
think? Like,
I
it seems like Cam Smith, like with the Astros, right? It's like they just pushed him too far too fast, and it's like you don't necessarily want them to do that.
Well, I think the Cam Smith thing was a lot different because they pushed him into the big leagues. Yeah, teams know their kids better than us and now analysts know their kids, and if they thought that Lazaro could handle disappointment, weakness, struggle, um, then the call up made sense. Let's challenge him some. But like his contact rate in high A wasn't great either. We're let's just be honest here. It was below average. And watching him in Everett, like the ball just flies out in most of these Northwest League stadiums and stuff. Like impressive power, don't get me wrong, but like I think sometimes you look into it and it might have been a case where they thought, hey, we need to get him out of here because he's becoming a certain type of hitter because I mean these power numbers are going to be the way that they're going to be here in high A. I gave him mulligan for double A. He's on my watching, big risk guy type deal. I gave him mulligan because I thought that he was not prepared for that league. But I again, the jump from high A to double A is humongous. Double A to triple A isn't big. Of course, the majors from triple A or from double A is huge, but it's the biggest jump outside of maybe leaving the complex. Because complex game, you know this being in Florida, complex games are the worst. Like talk about bad baseball. Go on YouTube, everybody, and watch a Dominican Summer League game and tell me how the heck are you Like I can't even like look at the box scores from there because like I yeah, I look there because somebody will prop somebody up or whatever, but like there's like one good guy on all of these Dominican. If you find two, you're gold. Okay. And most of these teams have like terrible, terrible things. So like these jump ups are great, but the great equalizer for hitters in between high A and double A is the breaking ball. The breaking ball is commanded so much better from that league to the next, where there's not that climb even from the complex league to the from a high A to high A. And so I'm interested in seeing if he makes the adjustment. I would imagine his contact rate will crawl up. But again, if it doesn't, I'm totally selling him by like mid-May. Like I'm out completely if I don't see any change.
What about this next guy? The next guy on our list is Mike Sirota. So he finished the season hurt. He really popped this year. And he's an older guy, I guess, for the levels, and it's mostly like power speed here, like a ridiculous OPS at these levels. So, like, are you buying this Mike Sirota pop, or do you think he's just like against competition that wasn't was he just like at too low of a level for his skill set at the time? And maybe this year, now that he's probably going to start at double A, I guess we'll actually see like how he
Mhm.
transitions. And I guess the other thing here is like the Dodgers just have so many outfielders, like trying to figure out this outfield Dodgers pecking order. And like, are any of these guys actually ever going to play for the Dodgers? Because they have so many guys, and I feel like none of their prospects, unless they're pitchers, ever even play for them. Like 1 out of 10 guys actually will make it to the Dodgers and play for the Dodgers. So, like, how do you feel about Mike Sirota?
Uh, acquired from the Reds. Reds apparently didn't know what they had, um, which is kind of surprising because I don't think the Reds are a terrible development organization. Um, I think he's an advanced guy. I think we sometimes get lost sometimes with advanced guys where they're also really good too. Like, and I think that this guy is really good, and I think that it will show this year in Double A that hey, we were right about him. We might some people, including myself, I'm not sure. I don't know where I remember where I ranked him, but like we might have been a little too high on him. But I feel like he's a good bet. The best bet of those guys to uh, become a solid regular. Now, all those other guys that we're going to be talking about have that upside to be a superstar type player. Maybe not Hope, but like they all have upside so much higher than Sirota. Um, I really think that Sirota is a starting outfielder. I just don't know if it's on a first division team like the Dodgers or on a second division team like the Angels. Um, and so that's where we're gonna kind of see that. But again, I think he's a solid player that his advanced skills are probably making him a lot better. But then at the same time, his advanced skills will be what carries him to the big league. I
Yeah.
don't know why I
Next on
said
the
big
list,
league.
big league, not leagues. Yeah.
Yeah,
Number 13 is Chase DeLauder. Of course, he's number 13. I did not even do that on purpose, Chris. I swear
yeah.
I did not put him on that juju on him. But Chris DeLauder, or is it Chris DeLauder? Chase DeLauder, number 13. I guess, like, for me, every time that he's healthy, he's so good. It's just like, will he ever stay healthy? It's funny. I was on Prospect One with Welsh last year, and like we were talking about, I can't remember what we were talking about, but we were like, oh, Chase DeLauder, he's finally healthy again. Look how great he's doing. And then like live on the podcast, he got hurt. Like I saw an X, like we were talking as we were talking about him. It's like, oh, Chase DeLauder injured again, and I was like, oh my god, like really, like live. And it's just like it's like a running joke. It's like a running joke that just the guy's just like a walking injury. So it's like, do you think we're ever gonna get like this healthy Chase DeLauder? Like, I guess that's really the only question I have about him. I don't know if you have any other questions about his skill set, because to
Yeah.
me, he could be like a Matt Holliday type if he just stayed healthy. Like he's a doubles machine, great hit tool, great plate skills, enough power to hit 25 bombs. So, like, are we going to get a healthy Chase DeLauder ever?
That's a good question, man. Like, if I had the answer to that, I'd probably be a rich fan. That might have been a direct quote to a contact of mine. Maybe with that organization, maybe not with that organization. But yeah, if we knew if he could stay healthy, I mean, he's probably a higher ranked prospect than what we have right now. Like, how do you like that's the question that we were debating. I forget who we were. I know it wasn't at HQ. It was maybe just a gaggle. I like using the word gaggle of prospect writers. Um, but like, how much do you discount the injuries? Like, you've got to discount for him so much because, like, especially since most of them have been foot injuries. Like, man, on paper, watching this guy, like, this guy has a really unorthodox swing, but it works. Bellinger had a very unorthodox swing at this time in development. The difference was he was never hurt, like DeLauder, but like, some guys can use that and work that and, do what they have to do with it. But like, I've seen a lot of Chase DeLauder through the years live, and I'm just really rooting for him to stay healthy, because I think that he's impact. He is the impact bat that the Guardians have been wanting for a long time, that they have not had to go with Ramirez, since maybe Lindor was there. And again, like, you're showing video of him, he looks the part. That swing is so whippy and so quick. He's so and it's so it's so unorthodox, yet also at the same time under complete control. Like, it's crazy. He can allow pitches to travel late and still get those wrists around. Like, seeing him live, seeing him in BP is like, that was amazing. Watching him on one pitch, deciding, hey, I'm going to pull the ball out, and then on the next one, I'm going the opposite way. And a lot of guys in BP aren't hitting oppo home runs. Like, that's just doesn't really happen in BP. And he was doing it with ease when I saw him in Arizona. I don't know if it was the first or second time because I mean, he's been there twice now, Arizona Fall League. So, but like him a lot. I hope he's healthy.
Yeah, I like you're right. His swing is hard to describe. It's almost like a pitcher who short arms it. It's like
Yep.
it's just so weird because it's like it's almost like there's just a very limited follow through, but it's so quick. It's just like quick, and then it's like whoop, it's like over so fast. It's like
A lot of guys who let the ball travel in the minor leagues, are letting the ball travel because they can't get their swing started. Where DeLauder, he just trusts his hands so much. And that was kind of what we saw in Bellinger, who had a very unique swing when he was in the minor leagues, where he just was not. Kyle Tucker was another guy that could just allow his hand and then just like boom, like that. I know I'm only naming left-handed hitters because they're the ones that tend to actually have that skill. But we can go several years back to David Wright as a right-handed hitter who could let that ball travel and did it purposefully, as opposed to they just couldn't get their swing
yeah.
going.
Yeah, it's like it looks so low effort to him. He just look
Yeah.
it's like he just hit a bomb and he's like completely chill. Like like it's
Mhm.
like, oh, did I do that? Oh, okay. It's like it just
Last
looks so
year,
effortless.
last 2 years ago at the fall league, he was like working out at the Cleveland facility and was like Ubering or maybe driving over to play like 1 or 2 times a week in was it yeah it was I think they were a surprise team that year, or they might have been Glendale, I'm not sure, but like, he didn't really even hang out with his teammates. He just come for those 2 games and then be back at the Cleveland facility because like I think they were just letting he wasn't really having a slot in that league and he could only play 2 games. So he'd only come around for those 2 games. But he was amazing when he was there.
Yeah. I just hopefully that's not the story of his life. He was amazing when he was there. It's like
Mhm.
okay, hopefully he's there enough that we don't have to talk about that in the next year or two, and it's just like something everybody forgets about.
Yeah,
So
hopefully he's not a unicorn. I call those guys unicorns.
Yeah, number Oscar Tavares, RIP. Number 12, Zaire Hope, with the Dodgers. We were just mentioning him. Hope, another interesting guy, because he's like short, and I know like last time we talked about him, he was higher on most people's lists. Like I dropped him down to like I think like 52 or something in my ranking. Yeah, 52 in my rankings. I had him in like the 30s, I think, before. Just the contact tool is off, right? Like it was not as good this year as it was last year. And like the EVs and everything are still there, but the hit tool itself is not on as much as it had been. And the K rates didn't go down. They're still high. But he is still hitting for a lot of extra base hits. Power looks like it's still going to be there. 27 steals, 82% stolen base success rate, 20% or 21% attempt rate. So he's, running a decent amount. Kind of portends to probably like a 15, 20 steal guy with maybe like 20 homers, but it's just like the contact rates really like what kind of batting average do you think he's going to get to? Because last time we were talking, he was running much higher contact rates. So what do you think about this like kind of slumpy hit tool year for Hope?
I think it was again, it's a development is not linear. Um, and so I saw a guy that may have gotten into trouble getting almost too vertical. Um, Last year, his swing was very vertical. This year, it was extremely vertical. And I could never. There's a really good scouting term that I have forgotten this year apparently to explain his swing. I have to go through my writings from previous seasons, but like he just went like full play. For older people on here, he went full Phil Plantier at times this year, where it was just like straight up. Um, I think it gets. I think that he'll end up going more towards the swing than he had previously, where he wasn't necessarily uh, trying to elevate everything. He's plenty strong, dude. Like he doesn't need that full extreme uh, vertical swing that he has. You just showed him taking gauge jump deep. Like that was another thing watching him this year for rankings and stuff. He seemed to perform against the best that he went against. It was those other guys. And with an extreme swing, what they got him on was a lot of hard stuff up, and then those breaking balls, especially the ones that just screwed right into the ground, like gyro type, spin type things. So um, if he gets that solved, I think that the batting average will creep up, but I still kind of have him like best case scenario 250, 260 hitter, which is above average hitter in today's game. But right now, like the swing that I saw last year was a 220, 230 hitter. And uh, I mean, that's a huge difference with a prospect like him. He's not gonna be a center fielder. He's a corner outfielder all day. He's a big man. He's stocky. He's athletic, but like he's not going to be able to keep center field for much longer. Like that's just not going to happen. So the power is important. The power might be more important than the hit tool, but for us in fantasy, he needs to be able to hit um, to be a solid regular type contributor. That's why I had uh, Sirota ranked ahead of Hope, is because I can do that check mark on Sirota. With poor Hope, I can't. I don't have that check mark. I don't know. And we'll see. Double A is going to be a big season for him.
Yeah, you definitely see it watching the video with that swing. It's like he's
Mhm,
shooting for the moon every time. It looks
mhm,
like. Number 11, we've got Braden Montgomery with the White Sox. So Montgomery is an interesting guy because I feel like he just like maxes like his max. If he just got to his max all the time, like he'd be fired. But if I feel like he has like really high maxes on everything. Like when he gets running, he's really fast, but I feel like he's
mhm,
like slower acceleration. Like I don't know. I feel like this just twitchiness missing from Braden Montgomery. Like I think I'm like man, he can really hit hard. He can really run fast when he gets up to top flight. But it's like I just feel like there's like a twitchiness missing, and I don't know if part of that is like him still coming off the injury or what. But like I was just I guess I was kind of disappointed. He got off to a really nice start at the beginning of the year, but finished kind of poorly. Didn't really do very well when he got up to Double A. I don't know. How are you feeling about Montgomery at this point?
I scouted him in person on video this year, and like I think explosion is what's missing from his game, as you pointed out. I personally don't like lower extremity injuries are kind of crazy with that. Shoulder injuries are as well. Like guys have a better chance of coming back from lower extremity injuries than shoulder injuries, of getting that explosiveness back. So that's good. He ran well. He doesn't get out of the box cleanly. So like that's going to hamper any home to first times that you get. He's a good athlete. I think at times, especially when he was in college, people kind of put that great athlete for a size type deal on him, and I just don't know if that really existed. When I saw him, I thought that his swings were very different from each side. I don't know what his splits are. As an evaluator, a lot of times I don't tend to look at that stuff. I tend to try to judge off of what that's going to look like. Um, he was aggressive. Um, I feel like there's got to be more into that power, and he's got to get to a steeper swing, where Hope needs to get to a more linear, get closer to the linear swing thing. Montgomery's got to get to more loft. That hit right there is a perfect example of something that just like literally died. Like he hit the crap out of that ball and it died. Now,
Yeah.
you could say it was maybe weather related or something like that, but like, look at that guy. Like he was late on that fastball or on that pitch, like so late on that pitch, and he was still strong enough. But my problem with him as a right-handed hitter is a lot of times I saw him late on swings, where on left he was more on time
Right.
with his swings. So
Yeah, interestingly, the splits are actually both pretty good. He had a 779 OPS against righties and 878 against lefties.
mm,
And then 12 bombs on the year, 5 against righties and 7 against lefties.
that's
He
pretty
did
impressive.
strike out. He did strike out way more as a righty though. 30% strikeout rate as a righty.
Mhm.
So his plate skills were much worse. So he had a 23% K rate and 12% walk rate as a lefty against righties, but then a 30% K rate and only a 70 or a 7% walk rate as a righty against lefties. So you're right.
Yeah,
His eye
and
from the right side is like much worse.
And that home run, we were that home run a few clips ago, it might be coming up, I don't know, was a good example of a guy that was forced to let the ball travel because he couldn't get his bat started quick enough. Where when we were talking about DeLauder, like DeLauder can allow that. Now, can Montgomery allow that against the best pitching in the world? Probably not. So like something's got to clean up with that right-handed swing for him to get to the same levels that he's at as a lefty.
Yeah, the next guy we're going to talk about, we're going to get into the top 10. So that was my number
Dun,
11
dun,
guy.
dun.
Yeah, top 10 time. Number 10, I'm really high on this guy. It is Nate George with the Orioles. And I wasn't as high on him until, again, these F scores. Once these F scores calculated, I was just like, wow, his power was way better than I was expecting because of this extra base hit plus score that we have. So he actually got a 105 power, even when he had 2 bombs. Keeping in mind the leagues he was playing in. So that's against the average of his competition. One thing I am worried about a little bit is the splits here. You can see a 353 average against righties, 208 against lefties. So kind of interesting. It's like a reverse split as a right-handed hitter. Contact rates were about the same for both. So maybe it's just like a aberration or a phenomenon or whatever. But the dude is really fast, but he needs to learn how to run the bags. 37 steals, but only a 66% stolen base rate. So he needs to learn base running skills. But the hit tool was really good. Like we're talking about a 18-year-old last year who had an almost 80% contact rate. So really solid hit tool. I think he's very well-rounded player, really interesting, aggressive in the box, like aggressive on the bases, but just needs to like figure he almost probably needs to be less aggressive on the bases. But there's hidden power here for Nate George. So I'm a fan. What do you think about Nate George?
Uh, I feel like Nate George is the data community loves him better than the scouting community. Um, I think that's one of the things that I've come through. He didn't make my top 100 prospects at Baseball HQ because I don't know how much better he really is. I don't see that next progression. I, I feel like he's a second division starter in the outfield. I don't see where this power is coming from that a lot of people have tried to project for him. And when I say power, I'm saying like 10 to 15 home run power. Just I watch that swing and I just don't see where that's coming from without a huge change. He makes a heck of a lot of contact. I feel he's very instinctful when I've watched him, especially at the plate, especially at understanding what pitchers are trying to do to get him out. I just don't see where that next level comes where he kind of puts it together. Like we were talking about what AJ Ewing earlier, who I like a lot better than Nate George because I feel like I can pencil him in as a first division starter, where I don't necessarily think George is that. I think George is a kid that uh, I think sometimes, and this is my personal thing, we see him as a guy that came from a cold weather place, and I think that some evaluators see that, and because so many guys have elevated after coming from there, um, that hey, this is going to happen to this guy. What I'm saying here is this guy came in more advanced than most cold weather high school players. And I think this was a tremendous scouting job by the Baltimore Orioles. I think that they got an absolute steal, but at the same time, I'm not sold on him being a guy that I'm targeting in fantasy for anything more than hopefully he can get steals in his game. Like that's what it comes down to. Let's steal the base more as opposed to getting caught.
Yeah, 50 steals, 25 times caught stealing. That has to be like
Mhm.
one of the higher numbers of
They
caught
might just
stealing.
not be instinctful on the bases, like, but at the plate, like, man, again, he makes adjustments. We were talking about that with Hector Rodriguez. Like, if you're able to make
Mhm.
adjustments, you can go a lot further than what your skill set might regularly say. I think he's a average regular fantasy player, but he's might be a slightly better if he can get that speed taken care of, that stolen bases taken care of.
Yeah, at 6 foot, 200 pounds, I guess a part of my thinking here is that I think that he'll be able to grow into more power as a younger guy
Hmm.
with 28 extra base hits in 87 games. That's not too shabby for a kid. So, you extrapolate, it's dangerous to play the extrapolation game, right? But like if you
Right.
do it, then you're like, okay, that might be like a 40 extra base hit guy, which is very good if you can do that. So yeah, this is definitely a little bit risky. But some of these guys, you want to plant a flag and go get them. And George, I feel like because of his advanced hit tool, that's something that I'm willing to do because I feel like the hit tool is like that's like the hardest thing to develop, right? Like you could be like I'd rather take the guy with the good hit tool and hope that he grows into some power as like a younger kid. 6 foot 200 is a pretty solid frame. Then grab a Spencer Jones who can't hit and like just hope that he's going to hit enough. But that's part of prospecting. So number 9 on the list here is going to be Joshua Baez, who's like a huge climber. And me, a Cardinals fan, so like I'm all about Baez here. I liked him when they got him back in like 2022, and he was great his debut when he debuted. And then 2023, 2024 was just like I guess utter crap. Like I don't even know what else you can say. But this year, 20 bombs, 53 steals, tons of extra base hits. 85% stolen base success rate. So unlike Nate George, he was
Hmm.
actually pretty successful on the base paths. And the big thing is the K rates climbing down to 20%. So I feel like that's the main thing that you need for him is those K rates to kind of stay around that range, 2025, and not climb back up to 30. And I think we have a really, really good player here as long as he can avoid the strikeouts.
this is a kid that if you had Jeff Ponce on here, he'd be like I told you guys. He was an early Joshua Baez guy back before he was drafted. He was a prep in Massachusetts. That's where Jeff lives. I think this shows you again. I made the comment earlier that development isn't linear, um, and we're so used to guys excelling so quickly that if you tend to uh, dismiss somebody like Baez, you completely lost out on him. Think about all those people that rostered him that released him because he couldn't do crap in lower A, low A and high A. Like um, what I saw this year was a kid that has obviously tweaked his approach. I almost wonder if he's just seeing the ball better as well. Like maybe there was a contact issue. Like when I say contact issue, I mean contacts. Um, not contact high or contact for hitting kind of thing. But you almost wonder because you just watching him attack the baseball in 2024 and then coming back and watching him in 2025, like the skills were all there. I don't think the swing, I mean, there were some adjustments made with the swing, but like even so, like all the skills were there. You almost wonder if it was an eyesight issue with him. He is super strong. I think that's what just, I don't think we see this athlete and I don't think we realize how like physically strong he is. Um, he can get fooled on a pitch. He can get all the way, and there's still room to grow into that 6'3" frame. Like, um, I, I don't expect the speed to stay there forever, but I do think like this guy's a middle of the order guy for the Cardinals in this new rebuild Cardinals organization, who's probably going to be a right fielder. I guess that would be the guess. Who will probably steal some bases because of headiness, but like at the end of the day, you're buying him for power and his power potential, which I think is immense. And I think that we're just kind of touching the surface of it at this point.
Yeah, some pretty crazy EVs for him. So I think he had a 114 max. He's 106s, 107s. So is a 90th, I think, is what he was at. So I'm a huge fan. Obviously, as a Cardinals fan, the comp I threw on him. Tell me if you like this, but I was like Byron Buxton, Joe Adell Mash is the comp that I threw on him.
This guy has
But
much better vision than Joe Adell ever will have. So,
I'm
um,
looking mechanically. Look at the mechanics, though.
I mean, mechanically, yeah, I guess get to see that, but yeah, like I don't see them as the same player. And Byron Buxton at this age looked totally different. Um, Byron Buxton was trying to shoot gaps at this age.
Yeah, yeah. He was skinny back then. He was
Yeah.
skinnier back
People
then.
don't people don't realize this. I don't watch much big league games. Like I don't give a crap. I mean, just to be honest. Like I'm concentrating any of my time for baseball on minor league games.
Minors.
I'll check out opening week because there's no baseball going on around here. And then I'll check out like towards the pennant race, the end of the pennant race. And then the playoffs, obviously. But like I don't in season, I might watch 2 games. I get MLB TV for the minor
For the
leagues.
minors. Yeah. I'll watch. Yeah, I'll watch.
Valley Sports.
I'll have it. I have baseball on in my house pretty much all day
Mhm,
during baseball season, whether it's minors or majors,
mhm.
and my kids are all about it. So that's the
That's
cool
good.
thing. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah,
Number
people around here ask me, they're like, "Oh, so what do you think about the how the Braves are playing?" I'm like, "I don't know. Like, don't give a crap." "Oh, you hate the Braves?" It's like, "Well, yeah, I didn't root for them, but like, yeah, I just don't. I rooted for the Mets growing up, and I can't tell you what's going on there. Like, unless I go on a message board and find out what's going on there, and it's much more dramatic on the message board, whether it's good or bad. Like,
Yeah, sky is
shout out
falling.
to Mets refugees, by the way. They'll get it.
Number 8 is Ryan Waldschmidt. So Ryan Waldschmidt, they just traded Blaze Alexander. Jordan Lawler is apparently going to play outfield. So my thought process is that we should And I brought this up to Ponce, I think, when he was on, and I was like, I think that we might get half of a season of Ryan Waldschmidt, and he was like, yeah, probably. So I guess he's the backup to maybe if Jordan Lawler fails. But I'm a big Ryan Waldschmidt guy. Great plate skills, solid enough contact tool to get there with some really good power speed behind him. So I like Waldschmidt a lot. Like he could be, in points leagues, he could be really valuable because of the walk rates. But like even in your standard league, you could get 25-20 or something from him. So how do you feel about Waldschmidt long term?
So like I was like not a fan of his at Kentucky at all. I thought he was overdrafted. Look at me. I was completely wrong. Um, some guys are just smarter at baseball than other people. Apparently, the Diamondbacks were smarter than me with this draft. But I think one of the things that really impresses me about Waldschmidt is he does have all these great baseball skills, but at the end of the day, he's super heady dude, and he maximizes his raw tools better than a lot of the guys that we're going to be talking about in the next few places, few assuming I don't know what your rankings are on these guys, but um, like if he had what somebody like Jose DePaula has, like his raw skills were there with this guy's IQ, he would be the number two prospect in baseball, right behind Connor Griffin. Like this guy is just heady, smart, strong dude who uh, like just knows what to do with the bat. And it's a very clean swing, and there's not many holes in it, and there's few power hitters that are able to hit for this contact rate um, than him. He is just better. Um, like I think that he's even still slept on. I ranked him in the 20s and overall, and I feel like he should have probably been in my top 20 easily. I feel like he should have been on the outside of the top 10. Now thinking about it, again, I think he's their future, uh, probably in center field. Um, I mean, I'm babbling at this point, but like
When is he
he,
up? When do you think he comes up this year?
I think it's like around July. I think it's before. It really depends, I guess, where Arizona's at that time. If they wait until August, but he only had 249 at bats at Double A. I think he starts up at Triple A because I don't think there's anything left in Double A for him to prove. And like Amarillo with hitters is not really a good place to evaluate guys because like that ball just flies out faster than I guess Angus steaks fly out of the slaughterhouses in Amarillo. But yeah,
I like that. Number 7 is Josue De Paula. Josue De Paula, I have a couple concerns about him.
all
Everyone
right.
likes Josue De Paula, especially because he had the home run during the Fall Stars game or whatever. So it's like the people who watch like that is the only minor league thing that they watch all year are going to be all over him. So he's like super, drafted super high in most any drafts that he's in right now. If you're doing like a startup prospect draft or something like that. But yeah, he's always been really good and really playing at an advanced age for the level. You see there the 166 age adjusted WRC plus, has great plate skills. But the two things that I'm concerned about, Chris, that I wanted to bring up with you are the swing rates. Like I just feel like is he at the point where he's passive, like too passive with the swing rates? Because he just doesn't swing very much. 35% swing rate at Double A is just so low. So I'm concerned about the swing rates. And then I'm also concerned with him about in general, just like his ability to get the extra bases. You see the extra base hit plus there that I have on the screen, only an 85. So again, the way that skill is that statistic, it takes total bases per plate appearance, and then it divides it against everybody else at the same levels that player was at. So he's actually at a below average extra base hit per PA. So I'm not liking that. But how are you feeling about DePaula?
For me, it's a projectable type player here who has a lot of good baseline skills that might not have come out yet, um, developed out of the skill set. And yes, I do think that he's a bit overrated because of the MVP at the Futures game. I was at that game, and I'll be honest, like the batting practice was what I would expect from DePaula, but did it was it eye opening to me? No. Um, Really, this year there wasn't many eye opening future game BPs that really stick out. But anyway, yes, I think he is too passive. I think it's because he's not able to hit breaking pitches. I had a prospect a long time ago. Actually, Jeff Paternostro and I had the prospect. I was following Jeff around the Appalachian League, and remember Luis Guillermo? I think he's still around, right? He was
Yeah.
he was so low thought of by the Mets that he was the translator to the big international guy. 'Cause I remember, like, the international guy was Wilmer, Becerra, who never made it really that far, had a really good year one year, and he, like, literally told us, "Yeah, I can only hit the fastball," like, through his translator. And, like, Luis was really good, he was funny about it, but, like, he just said, "Yeah, if I see any spin other than fastball, I just don't swing." And with DePaula, I wonder if that's the case. I wonder if, that passiveness is that he hasn't figured out how to read that spin right yet. We'll see what that looks like next year because he's going to, he didn't. He had a very limited sample at Double A last year, so he's going to see a lot of breaking balls that are going to stay in the strike zone. Where in high A and low A, those good breaking balls don't stay in the strike zone. They fall right out of it. So he's going to probably be forced to swing, and we'll actually see what his skill set is against those pitches. Um, you know, I like him probably a little more than you at this point, but I don't think we're that far off.
Yeah. I've got him. Overall, I've got him at 23.
Okay,
So,
I have him inside my top 15.
oh yeah. So yeah, a little better. It's not a big
It's not
difference though.
much.
Yeah. Next on my list is Carson Bench. Carson Bench looks like there's going to be a really good shot of him breaking camp this year. I was worried originally when he first came up. He had some pretty bad lefty lefty splits, but he kind of figured it out a little bit. But this is almost like what we were just talking about. Is it's almost like he's reaching for contact because he now at the end of the season we have a good sample size. He had an 80% contact rate against lefties, but there was no power to speak of there. Only one home run, 326 slug against lefties, where he had a 510 slug against righties. But I guess the good thing is he's not striking out, only a 13% K rate against lefties, lefty on lefty. So, I mean, like maybe because the power is good enough against righties, you live with that because he's just like surviving to be a full time player instead of a platoon guy. But that's like really for Benj, that's my only concern with him because like everything else, I'm like, okay, 81% contact. So that's amazing. 88% zone. So a really good hit tool. Like I put a 55 out of 60 on his hit, 55 out of 60 on the plate approach. And I threw a 55 power on him and a 55 speed. Yeah, 105.9 90th EV, but only 110 max. Maybe as he matures, he gets into more like, maybe he can get to 60 power, I guess. I know you don't like the 55s. You're like, I know you're like 4, 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6. No 55s. Don't split the difference here, Tim.
Mm.
But I like Benj a lot. I think he's gonna be a really solid player. Like, will he be an all star or something? I don't know about that, but I think he's gonna be a really solid player. Maybe 2020 or something like that in his peak
Solid,
years.
solid player is a good description of Benj. Uh, here's my issue with the power. I don't, as currently constructed, I don't see his lower half getting to pull power enough to get to the what you would consider a 55 or 60 grade power home run production. I just don't see it. I'm not a coach. I don't know how you get that out of there. We talked about old guy. I can't believe he's old because he's my age. David Wright. David Wright had a natural swing the other direction. but he could contort his lower half from a very young age to get to pull power. But like his natural swing was to right center field. Benji's natural swings to the left center field, being a left-handed hitter. Like that's just where the ball's going to go. His issue is that he's not able to loosen that lower half to get to that pull power when he needs it. So this is a guy who hits the ball extremely hard, who has great angles specifically to left center field. But left center field angles aren't necessarily home runs; they're mostly doubles, possibly triples with him. The biggest benefit he has going for him is that he can play center field. Like I think that we haven't done a good enough job, and when I say we, I mean the evaluators about his ability to play center field at a big league level. Center field is a depressed position across baseball. Like, and I don't think that's talked about enough either. There's probably 20 starting center fielders in the major leagues right now. And that means that there's 10 guys starting in center field that have no right to be starting in center field. And it's just the truth. So, like, that's why I'm more likely to elevate a Benji like you have. I'm probably not as high as you are with him. But also, I think that it's a pretty easy, solid major leaguer. Um, just like I think AJ Ewing's a solid major leaguer because, hey, he can actually play center field. I mean, uh, Tyrone Taylor can't hit. Luis Robert has not been able to hit, but they can play defense at this point. You know, who knows? Apparently, Robert's fixed by working with Juan Soto and the Boris guys, but whatever. We'll see if that's the case. But I don't like him starting in the big leagues, and I'll tell you why. He does not carry right field at this point in his career, and that is where he would play. Um, he could carry center field with a 700 OPS, but carrying right field with a 700 OPS, and I would say that's where the projections are right now for coming into this year, isn't isn't good. Um, I actually fully expect him to have a great spring training. I fully expect him to do enough to make the major leagues out of camp. But I don't think he's ready. And I think it's getting to that pull power is going to be what, and whether he's able to do that. But longtime major leaguer, solid center fielder for years to come, easy pick with this guy.
Yeah, I think I definitely like him better too in points leagues. So he has really good
Yeah.
play skills. So if you're in a points
Yeah.
league, then I'd definitely be more in, especially like breaking camp in a points league than a roto league.
Yes. Yes.
Number
I don't play
5,
any point leagues anymore. I used to play them all the time, and I don't play any of them anymore.
you're missing out. The odd new points, that's a good format. The odd new points leagues. You have to be
Yep.
careful about pitcher home runs against. They just like destroy you
I
in the odd
I
new
had
points.
I had a great I came in second place in one of those years ago, and like Alex Gordon was the best player in our league because all the things he did, and I would tell people who were playing regular leagues like, dude, you don't understand. Like Alex Gordon in like Otanu's like the bomb. Like he was the best guy to have because nobody valued him right. Now there's a lot more smarter players. That's probably why I'm out of points. Is smarter players are now playing it.
No one to take advantage of anymore. No,
No one,
no.
yeah, because I'm not as smart as data analysts. Like I'm not as smart as any of you data analysts out there. Like
Oh, you're not. You don't give
Ross
yourself
will
enough
kick
credit.
my ass if I'm in a league. Dylan White would kick my ass. Like let's just call it what it is.
You don't give yourself enough credit. You keep finishing top 3 in our new podcaster league. So
Yeah, it's because I spent a lot of money. We'll see how it goes this year.
number 5 is Eduardo Quintero. So I've got Quintero all the way up at 17 overall
Mhm.
right now in my rankings. This guy's electric. I think we talked about him last time too, and I was like, this guy's just like a video game, like just a walking video game. F scores love him.
Mhm.
Obviously, when he went up levels, there's a little bit of struggles at first, but the batting average hadn't caught up, but the contact rates are the same, and everything else, under the hood, still looks pretty good from the advancement from A ball to high A as he climbed up levels. and just ridiculous stuff here. Like 46 steals, 19 bombs. Like, to me, this guy looks like he could be a superstar, but it's interesting because the Dodgers just have so many guys. Like, are they gonna be able to clear room for him when he's ready, or is he gonna like waste a year? Like, because usually the superstar guys will come up early, like, right? Like,
Yeah.
Jeff was telling me that he expects Connor Griffin to play the majority of the year, and I'm like, I don't know, man. It's the Pirates, and he was telling me he thinks Kevin McGonigal could play the
Oh, I
majority of the
think
year.
I agree with him with McGonagall. I'm gonna have to. I'll text him tomorrow and see what his rationale with Connor is,
Yeah,
or just listen to your podcast.
when he was on with me, I said over under 450 plate appearances for Connor Griffin, and he said over. So I was like,
I
okay.
just
I was like, it's the
I
Pirates,
wanna
man.
say this. I'm just happy that you gave me outfielders, shortstops, but, like, he gave me an offer early on about coming on for first baseman, and I was like, "I don't wanna come talk first baseman."
Yeah.
I thought I was busy that week because I was like, "No way." Outfielders are so much more. But, like, shortstops, you get Jeff Ponce, you get the cream of the crop for the shortstops.
He actually did third base with me, and I had because I've had him on a couple times lately, and then I had Owen bit the bullet for first base. So I got to give Owen Hurd some props for biting the first base bullet. Whoever gets forced to do second is going to be that's a little bit of pain right there. Second base, I think.
Second, I think is easy. So I don't know if I've told you this. I know we're supposed to be talking about Quintero right now, but I came up with a philosophy on second base. We put a check mark by any guy that has a hit tool that's a 5 or better, can hit 20 home runs, or not or steal 20 bases. And if you can do that with anybody that's playing second base, you have a pretty good chance of finding a future regular at second base. But if they can't, if they don't meet two of those, the 50 grade hit tool has to be there, at least a 50 grade hit tool. If they can't hit 20 home runs or 20 steals, throw them away. You don't want them. Like, seriously. Like, and that's my issue with
Yeah.
Franklin Arias is I don't see where he steals 20 bases or hit 20 home runs. Like,
No.
and like there's my issue there. Like, yeah, he's going to hit for a high average, but what is he going to do? He can't play shortstop. I saw it. Like, he can't play shortstop. Second base or bust for him. And like, that's why I'm down on him. But we're
Yeah.
supposed to be talking about Edwin Quintero here. And again, like, I don't ever care about like when I'm going to see these guys or how I'm going to see these guys, except if they're Dodgers prospects, because like I feel like it works itself out with everybody else. But the Dodgers have just we don't know. He might be playing for Pitt. He might be batting behind Connor Griffin because they got some huge deal that they got Skeens. Because the Dodgers get everybody, so like I half expect them to trade for Skeens at some point. Quintero starting in uh, right field, maybe center field, who knows, for the Pirates.
Yeah.
Like
Florentino, Quintero, and Connor Griffin would be pretty
God,
sick.
God, that would be cool. That would be cool. And they'd probably get another one too. Like they'd get Sirota batting sixth, and like, who knows? But that's what makes the Dodgers so good is that they're better than you at scouting. They're better at you than evaluating. They have more money than everybody else. They're better at analyzing data than everybody else. Like it sucks. Like I hate the rest of the league. They think the salary cap's going to fix it. The salary cap ain't going to fix it. The Dodgers are still going to outspend you on everything that makes their players great. Quintero, I am a little concerned at the contact rates. I also think that there's some passiveness there because of the contact rates. I don't think they're as extreme passiveness as what we were talking about with the Paula, but like it's there. The dude is super strong. The power plays to all fields. The swing is actually closer to the swing that he'll probably have in the big leagues. Where DePaula, you're still looking for where is that next part of the lift coming from. This guy has super quick hands. Um, I think it's a matter of just reading pitches at this point. He's so young and so raw that he hasn't gotten those skills yet. And once he gets those skills, It's going to be like this. It's already feels like this, but it's going to go like the stock market, up, 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 and then it's just going to go up like a rocket ship. Like this guy's potentially top one prospect that we're talking about next year at
Yeah,
this point.
I can't help it, but like I comped him to Wander Franco because he just reminds me so much. Like even his swing, it just reminds me so much of him because like Wander Franco like ruined the own comp of himself. But it's like he was such a
Mhm.
good player. But it's like he has similar mechanics, similar build, similar skill set.
Yeah,
Maybe the hit isn't as good, and
the
the
hit
natural
isn't
power is a little bit
the hit
better. But
isn't as good. The natural power is much better. Like
yeah,
that, I mean, Wander Franco, I got a chance to see him in the minor leagues, and like it was a 70 grade hit tool where this guy's like a 50
yeah.
on his best days and possibly a 40. So like again, seeing his ability to hit the breaking ball is going to be a huge deal this season.
Yeah, number 4 on my list. I don't know how you're gonna feel about this one. I've got Dylan Beavers at number 4 here. Obviously, like he's in the majors, so like proximity helps for fantasy. But I am a huge Dylan Beavers guy. F scores absolutely adore Dylan Beavers, and I think Eric Cross and I are like the two guys who've really been pumping him for a long time here. I'm gonna throw his F scores up so we have him here. But this dude, when you watch him, like he looks exactly like Kyle Tucker at the dish. Yeah, obviously, he's got gloves on instead of Kyle Tucker doesn't wear gloves. But
Yeah.
besides that, like he's got the same exact stance as Kyle Tucker. But I think Dylan Beavers is just a really, really good player. Like kind of like how we talked about with Benj, but I think there's maybe a little bit more in the tank. I think he could go, in 2025 or something like that. So I think there's enough power in there for him to do that. The contact rates are ridiculous. 83% contact, 90% zone contact, doesn't chase at anything. Like skills wise, I put a 60-65 hit on him, a 60 plate approach, 55 power, and a 60 speed. So I really like Dylan Beavers. I feel like he's just like so solid all around. Like, I think you could get like a Jaron Duran line out of him. What do you think about Beavers?
For me, he's a guy that's going to give you solid production in five categories in a regular format. And while that sounds so simple, that's hard to find in prospects where you're like, all right, that's there. Um, in Lindy's, I had him like I feel like he's safely a 2020 guy. There might be a chance for 25-25 type production. I'd like to again, I'd like to really see him adjust to the big leagues before I really like sell, go high on him. I know he's about to lose his prospect status, so I might never have a chance to rank him again. Um, but like I feel like there's just this one level that he needs to get to. Looking at that swing right there, he gets to it there. But there were times this year at AAA where I felt like he let a lot of hittable, smashable pitches go because he might have been more of a guess hitter than a reactive hitter. And I think some of that patience comes from being a patient hitter, or being looking for a certain pitch or a certain place in the strike zone. Um, Guys will either cheat on fastballs or cheat on location. That's just how it goes. I have him in my top 50. Um, but again, I feel like I've seen this skill set before, and man, I just feel like he's a guess hitter. And I know that there's guys that are guess hitters that are very successful, but I think that they have a higher skill set than what he's operating with. So that's kind of where I'm at with him. You know, if I'm going to be wrong on a player, I'd rather be wrong on a player because I think that uh, he's basically tapped out of his skills, and it's just a matter of his approach that I don't know about. I'd rather be wrong about that than be wrong about a guy's skill set. So again, five tool category, like that's what you're aiming at. There's a 70%, like I believe there's a 70% chance he's a solid regular contributor in the big leagues.
Yeah.
Do I think he gets to an all-star fantasy thing? I don't think that's there. But there is a slim hope of that because the statistics that you're showing right now tell that story. Like that story is being told there. It's just I don't necessarily when you watch him see that come out.
Yeah. So one thing that we don't have up here on the board that here actually we'd have it zone swing 62%. So as 62% zone swing, only a 40% swing rate. But this is one thing I really like about him: 31% line drive rate, and these launch angles here is like opposite of Justin Crawford launch angles.
Yes.
They're all between like 7 to 35 or whatever. So 7 to 32. So
This
amazing
and
angles.
just so for the listeners to understand, like coming out of college, we had serious concerns about whether he had enough contact to get to this level. And um the the Orioles love blast data guys. They love them. But a lot of their guys haven't been able to transition into that hit tool, like we thought. Maybe some had it already. Kowser kind of already had that. If he stays healthy, sky's the limit for them, for him. But like Beavers has been the real guy that's like developed this hit tool from this blast data type deal. And so like he's kind of their poster child, in my opinion, of a great development story for a guy that they took high because they believed could get to that next level. And he has.
Yeah, for sure. Number 3 on the list is Walker Jenkins. So this is a dude that I just want to stay healthy. They're moving him really quick, and he deserves to be moved really quick. But only 368 plate appearances last year. Already hit AAA as a 20-year-old. So really solid season when you break everything down. 10 bombs, but again, he only played half a year. 80 or 78% contact, 82% zone contact. So really good decision making here for him. Really good hit tool. Hasn't really grown into the power yet. 6'3", 210. You'd almost expect more power, but I keep comping him. I'm like, this is like early Freddie Freeman. It's kind of like it's kind of like what I keep going to. It's like early career Freddie Freeman was a really good hitter, 280, 290 hitter who hit 20 to 20, like low 20s home runs. And I feel like Walker Jenkins is going to be that type of guy until he gets closer to his peak. And then maybe he's turns into the 30, 35 home run guy that a lot of people thought he was going to be when he first got drafted because he is such a big dude. But obviously, for all that to happen, he's got to stay healthy, which is like, that's the main thing for him. Like, I've got him at number 10 in my prospect rankings. And if he was healthy, like, I don't know where I would have him. Like, maybe I'd have him ahead of like JJ Weatherholt, even if he was actually healthy all the time, because I really, really like him. But it's just, you got to stay on the field.
Yeah, I'm looking right now to see where I had him because I think I have him in the same place in fantasy as well. I had him 8. In Lindy's, I had him 8, I believe, in a baseball HQ too. So same ranking for him, fantasy and real life. My issue again, same issue you have, is the injury bug. Um, can he get over that? I think he can. He's a good enough athlete. But he's seemingly going to replace the ultimate poster child of getting over injuries and having immense talent, Byron Buxton, someday as their center fielder. So um, my thing here is I think the power comes. I don't think it's going to be as dramatic as some folks have projected. I think 30 home runs is a strong, like, hey, if we get here, then this is a great place for that. I feel like he will lose a lot of his hit tool if he gets into that power, because I think that his line drive ability from his swing trajectory is phenomenal, um, and I think that's what makes him so good. But if you watch him in BP, he's one of the strongest dudes that you're going to go out and scout. Again, I think that change. I think really the change. I think that it's a bigger change to get to that power because of how his setup is, where his hands start out. Um, Like I think if you lower those hands, he gets to more power, but at the same time, he probably loses the plus hit tool. And I don't think with a player like him, I don't think I want him to lose that. There's that sacrifice, that you go through, and I don't know if his skill set should go through that sacrifice to get to that power. Um, he's a damn good player as is. Like sometimes we just have to accept that a guy is big and strong and athletic and uh, not going to hit for 30 home runs.
Yeah. I always like to use like Matt Holliday as this example. Like a big part of that is like growing up as a Cardinals fan, I saw a lot of Matt Holliday, but like Matt Holliday, for instance, had one or actually 2 seasons of 30 home runs, and they were both in Colorado. Outside
Hmm.
of Colorado, the most home runs he ever had was 28. But everyone remembers Matt Holliday is a really, really good middle of the order hitter. So Matt Holliday, consistent like 280, 290 hitter with 40 plus doubles, 100 RBIs, and if 25 to 28 home runs, that's still a really, really good player.
Hmm.
So I don't know. Matt Holliday, Hall of Famer to you? What do you think?
No,
Hall of Very Good. Does he make
yeah.
that one? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay. Next.
he just he doesn't have like his best season was what age 27, 28. He had one season with the Cardinals that was about at that point where that is. He to me had 3 seasons to get to the 7 to 8 seasons you need to get to a Hall of Famer. So he had that sort of production for 3 years.
It's crazy though. 299 career average. That's real. That's really
Mhm.
good. Like nobody does that anymore. So that's
Yeah,
it's pretty
but you also you gotta understand that a lot of that came um, without the level of production from the other stats once
yeah.
he left Colorado. And again, just not a Hall of Famer. I mean, I love David Wright. David Wright's not a Hall of Famer. Um, I
Yeah.
can't believe Jimmy Rollins is getting the amount of votes that he's getting. Like that guy's not a Hall of Famer.
People like him. That's
I think
why.
people just like him.
Yeah.
Uh, Chase Utley's easy Hall of Famer for me. Like there's a lot of Hall of very good, but Harold Baines made to the Hall of Fame, so anybody's really half the league right now is a Hall of Famer if Howard Baines is a Hall of Famer.
This is true.
So
Number two, we've got Edward Florentino, who is the number one player in F scores. So per F scores, he's the top guy. And the F scores are all these F scores are averaging back against the level. So theoretically, he's just that much better than everybody else at the level he was playing at. So maybe, like he was only at A ball. So, who knows? If he was playing at a higher level, that would probably change things. But Florentino, 128 power, 104 hit, 142 speed, 29 steals, 10 bombs. That's only his A ball stats because he did also start the season in complex and was really good in complex to start the season. The thing that really sticks out to me, besides having a lot of power and a lot of speed, and then an 85% contact with a 91% zone, which is absolutely ridiculous, is just the angles, Chris. Like this guy is just he's an angles beast. Like talking about the angles before, the launch angle distribution here is insane. 27% line drive rate, 22.5 air pull, 37% sweet spot, 9% barrel is could improve, but the angles that he's getting to are ridiculous. And then the power at his age, 104, 90th as an 18-year-old. So this dude is just he's got all the tools in his toolkit, and it's just like, can he consistently build upon what he's already done as he goes up levels? It's hard for me to rank a guy this young as high as I do. But I really think he's just that freaking good. Like I've got him at number 9 overall in my prospect rankings.
I'm gonna ask, why is it hard to rank somebody young?
I guess because when I'm ranking for fantasy, not for like real life. And in fantasy, you kind of want to get value now, right? It's like you don't want to wait around with zero gain. And if he's already ranked as a top 10 prospect, it's not going to improve at this point. Like you're not going to get any more value out of him right now until he finally debuts, or until like the day before he debuts, right? Like it's just you're not gonna really be able to trade him more now than you can for in a year. So if you're thinking about it from a value perspective of like trading stocks, or if you're trading Bitcoin or precious metals or whatever you might like invest in, if you're thinking about it from like an investment perspective, like where he's at right now is probably the peak he's going to be at until like the day before he debuts, when they announce, oh, Florentino's probably gonna get called up tomorrow. Like you're not gonna be able to trade him for any more than you can right now until that happens, or until he's in the majors. So I guess that's why it's hard for me, because I'm always trying to think of things from a value perspective, from a fantasy side. Whereas from like a real life, like no, like it's not that hard because it's like I see all the talent that's there. So like
Mhm.
from a real life perspective, I guess like I would have more patience, because if I'm pretending that I'm the owner of the Pirates, like I'm going to have patience with these types of players. But if I'm looking at it from like a fantasy league perspective, where it's like some fantasy leagues only last 3, 4, 5 years, like you may not ever get that Florentino value by the time, like everyone's like, oh, I'm kind of sick of this league now. And they're done. It's like the MLB can't do that. You're not going to have, I'm kind of sick of this MLB now and quit the ML. Like we're gonna close a couple teams down. Kind of sick of doing this thing. So I guess that's why, because when
That's
you're
an
doing it from a fantasy
interesting,
perspective,
yeah.
it's just a different take. So
That's an interesting perspective. It's a perspective that I haven't heard from many rankers, and I think that works. I mean, that's a very smart and balanced um, way of looking at things. That the value's not going to change. It's harder to look at a young player and be like, all right, this guy is going to be as good as all these things. I think what stands out is what looks great, and I can't really see it because I have you on my small screen, but I've looked at the data as well, and I think that for a kid, 18-year-old when he was doing this, now 19, going on age 19 season, like for a kid to do this and then to watch him. Bradenton's one of the best places, best video places because it's HD. It's like AAA quality feed. Um, his ability to his swing decision ability is what really stands out for somebody so young. And I don't think it was a product of the strike zone, the automation of the strike zone, or anything like that. It wasn't a manufactured um, skill set. Uh, I think this is 80 grade power raw. I think it ends up playing 70 grade power. I think the hit tool is probably a 5, because I think that the power is just gonna max it out and stuff. But a 5 hit and a 7 power is a pretty dynamic top 50 fantasy player, in regular formats. Um, I have him in my top 20. I don't have him below, like, I don't have him in my top 10. And for me, my rationale of not having this player there is A, I know that he's playing center field. He ain't a center fielder. Um, I think that the body gets so big that maybe right field or left field don't even work out, and I wonder if he ends up at first base. I've learned that I'm in the minority on that, but I think that this guy could just absolutely get humongous. Um, but I also think that this guy could hit 50 home runs, and that's other than Connor Griffin on our list, that he's really the only one that I could potentially see doing that. By God, the Pirates have lucked in to some really talented players, and they're actually developing these hitters, even like smaller name hitters that you guys we're not talking about, that are probably going to be up down guys, are up down guys at this point, because the Pirates hitting development has improved so much. Like in other orgs, they've never sniffed the majors, but in this org, they might actually do that. So I'm pretty bullish on Florentino. I think that he's another guy that is a potential top 5 guy next year. I don't know if he has the top one luster because he's not adding to all categories, and I think top one guys tend to add to all like multiple categories. I think the stolen bases are him just taking advantage of bad playing, bad pitch
Mm.
catching, all of that kind of stuff.
I saw
He's a
him
below average runner.
I saw him live last year, and I'll tell you, kind of a funny story. I went to every single Saturday game in Jupiter, no matter who was
Yeah.
playing last year. And there was one game that started like an hour early, and it was, of course, the game that Florentino was there. And
Mhm.
so I didn't even realize. I was like, I've got some time to go to the ballpark, and so like I sat down to like eat. I was like, I'm gonna eat before I go because I don't want to eat a crappy hot dog. So I was like eating some food at my house. And then all of a sudden I got an alert on my phone and it said Edward Florentino home run. And it was like, and I was like, what? I was like, no way, this has to be an error. And I looked it up and I was like, the game started like an hour early and I missed a first inning home run from
That
him. And
It's
so like
funny you say that, dude. It happened to me too, with a Pirates affiliate when Henry Davis was in high A. Like it was one of those things where like Rome doesn't have any 6 o'clock games. They're all at 7 o'clock. No, this one game was at 6 o'clock for whatever reason. They told me it was travel related because they were gonna have a, education day the next day or something like that, but, like, it just bothered the heck out of me. I was like,
yeah.
I'm on this, and, like, here I am, the Rodriguez catcher guy was there too, like, so, like, I missed some good at bats from 2 prospects, so, like, that pissed me off so bad.
Yeah, yeah, it pissed me off so much I threw my food down, and then I ran out of my door and drove straight to the game, and then, so I got there in, like, the 3rd inning, and there was nobody there, so I think nobody else knew that the game was starting early. I was like, there's only, like, 5 people in the stadium, and so and usually the Saturday games, there's a decent amount of people. So I get in there, and right when I walk in the stadium, before I can, like, break my camera out or even, like, sit down, he hits a double, and he was way faster than I thought. Like he got to second pretty quick, and I was actually pretty impressed by that. That's the only hit that I saw. After that, I think I saw a walk and a couple strikeouts. But he was actually like a lot faster getting to second because I thought like when he hit it, I thought it was a single, and then he made it to second. I was like, oh, okay.
I
So
watching him, on video a lot, with Bradenton. He seems like a guy that busted out of the box, comparable to other prospects. Like I feel like that's eventually gonna go away because he's gonna be wanting to look at his home runs.
yeah, like that. All right, number one, we've got Max Clark. So Max Clark is my number one outfielder. I threw a Corbin Carroll comp on him, and I was with Doc. Actually, was in Florida today, so I was hanging out with him, and he's like, "Oh, Max Clark is Corbin Carroll, but he has a better hamate now." He's like, he's got a stronger hamate bone than Corbin Carroll, but Max Clark, really good hit tool, really good plate approach. And here's another Jeff bomb here. Is Jeff said, don't be surprised if Max Clark breaks camp with the Tigers. I was like, what? I was like, I do not see that happening just based on how they've previously operated. But I don't know. He seems to be under the assumption that they're going to be aggressive this year. And I don't know, after the Framber signing, maybe they will be. So where are you on Clark? And is Clark your top outfielder, or do you have like Florentino ahead of him?
I don't have Florentino ahead of him. I have Clark number 4 on my list, I think 3 or 4 on my overall list. Yeah, it might be 4. I don't remember. I'm looking too far back in there, both fantasy and real life. Yeah, 4. I have my ranking fantasies: Connor Griffin, McGonigal, Bade, and then Clark. So now
You're higher than me then. I've got him at
I
6.
don't
You're higher than me.
I don't throw Corbin Carroll around, because I don't think that the power potential is really there. You're talking about a guy that like I actually was on a plane, like 6 foot's really generous. That they're, he's probably the same size as Corbin Carroll, but Carroll just has a knack of getting to that lofted contact when he needs to get to the lofted contact. And I just don't know if Clark's that player. I think that Clark is a much more complete hitter. Um, he's like you watch guys and you're like, oh, is he passive or is he selective? He's very selective. This is a kid that if there's a guy, a left-handed hitter, I know you know, a long time ago, but like if I see anybody in this guy, I see Lenny Dykstra in this guy. Um, the swagger, the ego. Hopefully, he's not dumb like Lenny is. Gets himself in so much trouble and all of that kind of stuff. Because Lenny in that car accident really like sapped us from seeing probably a Hall of Fame player. And then all the things that he did later on in his career. He was clearly my number 4 prospect. Like he was clearly my number 4 prospect, both real life and fantasy. Um, but I think that he is going to be that guy that's going to hit 20 to 25 home runs. He's going to hit for an average somewhere between 270 and 280. We're going to say average. But the thing he's going to do is just get on base. And like in a points format, he might be a number might actually be the second ranked prospect on this list. Like he is that good of a player. Um, I think that we assumed he was going to hit for more power because of how developed his upper body is, how naturally strong he is. But that swing does not need to hit for power. That swing just needs to uh, he can wreak so much havoc getting on base. And I'm with Jeff. I think that the Tigers are going to be super aggressive this year because they know their window is closing because they can't afford Scooble. And I think that's why McGonagall will be up. People are like, well, where are they going to play McGonagall? McGonagall's better than 3 of their infield. I'm sorry. He's going to be better this year than Gleyber Torres. I don't know if he's going to take over for Gleyber Torres, but he's going to be better. All right, maybe he doesn't play the defense of Trey Sweeney or somebody like that, but like, dude, I'd just rather have him out there. Like, put him somewhere. Maybe at third base. Like, I don't believe in Colt Keith. I really don't. I don't believe in Spencer Torkelson either. Like, one of those guys is probably the first baseman while McGonagall's at third base. Like, yeah, I mean, this is a perfect storm for the Tigers organization. Um, and Max Clark is the table setter. He could be the table setter right now, like legit right now.
Yeah, he's awesome. I love him. So number one outfielder here, Max Clark, and we're rolling on 2 hours here. So all good content. So hopefully everybody listens this long, and we're gonna close out. And Chris, anything that you want to pump that you didn't pump earlier?
Man, I don't know if there's anything to really pump. Baseball HQ, our minors coverage, I think kind of starts tomorrow for the season. I think we'll have an article from Chris Lee, who's from the 24/7 site for Vanderbilt. He does great college content. We're going to look at the college players on the day that college baseball starts. I think I'm going to be out scouting some amateur guys this year. Got some prospects coming around here. I think I'm going to go to see. I have it written down somewhere who I'm seeing on Monday, but I think I'm going to go out and see some prep guys. Yeah, here we are. I think I'm going to see Trevor Condon from Etowah High School, who's a
Nice.
potential first round pick next year on Monday in Cartersville. So yeah, I'm going to try to do some amateur coverage. I don't know where, probably Twitter or Blue Skies, where I'm going to just post that stuff because it doesn't really matter for my site until June, July.
Awesome. Make sure you look for that and make sure you follow Chris on X and also subscribe to MLB Data Warehouse. And if you can, $29.99 for my prospect package. It has all your draft cheat sheets in there. All the F scores are all in there. Everything's heat mapped, prospect rankings, yada, yada, yada. So check that out and we will see you next time. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.